Last time on Shadow Piece, Ivankov had to deal with the death of a close comrade, also finding a way to kill a quasi-immortal. Meanwhile, Green Bull only had to take down one more commander of the Revolutionary Army and they would be done for. With the stick given to him by the Fleet Admiral, he started dealing a lot of bludgeoning damage to the newcomer leader. Their nose got completely shattered, despite focusing almost entirely on defense. However, with their sub-focus on attack, they managed to temporarily destroy one of the wooden monster's legs, and close into him because of that. All the piercing and slashing damage they dealt was insignificant in the big picture, but this exchange of attacks gave Ivankov a crucial piece of information that they would use in an attempt to win this battle. With every minute that passed, Ivankov grew more and more exhausted, but they couldn't distance themselves from Aramaki. This was an all-in situation. Their entire bodies started to get covered by hormones, making them more slippery, stronger, faster, and most importantly, the key factor to win got added. The Forest Admiral wasn't slacking off either though. Over the course of this battle, his attacks gained more power and also more precision. The acorns had ripened and grown even tougher, making them comparable to complex steel alloys before Haki even got applied to them. Because of his power, Aramaki was capable of fighting at any distance and in any shape, giving him a clear advantage. His opponent had remained close by to deal any damage as well, but he could just continue to back off and attack from a distance. But that wasn't his style, so he switched it up after having fired one last wave of acorns. The plan was to blind the revolutionary and instantly slam him away with the Yggdrasil branch afterwards. So when Ivankov smiled, he was caught off guard. Sharpening hormone, stretching hormone, toughening hormone, and finally, the Eva surprise, yeehaw! Their body got deformed from all the attacks, but it went all according to plan, all according to Keikaku. Emporio Ivankov was a master strategist, and they chose to get hit in such a way that their body would take on this exact shape, the Emporio rocket. Nothing could be hurt until a blast happened. The newcomer broke the sound barrier by casually charging towards the Admiral, and yet they continued to accelerate even further until they were nothing but a blur. As powerful as the acorns may be, they got completely decimated, like they were nothing but a children's toy. Not expecting such a movement technique, Green Bull could barely bring up his defenses, but they didn't change a thing. Fingernails as sharp as blades got plunged into his eyeballs, not only making them explode from their sheer impact, but also injecting hormones into the body of the Marine. Yeehaw! I won't allow you to interrupt Dragon's fight. This fight may still have two different possible outcomes, but in both of them, you will be defeated. For a being that is basically all three, eyes were never necessary. He already spread out his roots throughout the entire area, making this whole place his domain. Not only could he feel everything that was going on around him, but he could also attack from whatever angle he wanted to. And yet, despite this limited omniscience, he couldn't track the movements of Ivankov. That was just how fast he was. When he felt them in one location, they were already in another in an instant, and just half a breath later, their fingernails already pierced another location on his bark body. Attacks were futile, he couldn't catch the commander of the Grand Line, but so should be their stabs. As a forest human, he could just continue to recover. As long as there was a place for nature to thrive, he could revive endlessly. The ground along the path Ivankov took had a clean and simple line of destruction. Other attacks or rapid movement led to mass destruction of the surrounding area. However, Ivankov's rocket-like movement was different. It was beautiful. Speed comes in many forms and shapes, but every speedster would have agreed with this. This style was efficient and powerful. Obviously, it was also taxing on their body, so it couldn't be continued forever, but nobody ever asked for it to last forever. The Eva surprise should have started to take effect by now. With the piercing attacks continuing, Aramaki at first didn't realize what was happening. He just assumed all the wounds were slowly healing, but when he started feeling dizzy, it was clear that something was off, and it was the Eva surprise. All kinds of hormones were combined into one highly potent liquid, in which Ivankov coated their entire body in. With just one short injection to make it not obvious, it wasn't enough to take effect, but that's where a speedy barrage of attacks came in. Every single step played its part, influencing the body of the Marine Admiral ever so slightly. Dizziness was only the first condition. Soon it started to affect his body in other ways as well. Not wanting to be the only one to suffer, roots started shooting out of the ground. Ivankov may be fast, but to deal any damage or increase the hormone amount injected, they still had to close the distance. So the roots smashed wildly on the ground, not leaving any space untouched. It almost seemed like the mythical Kraken appeared and was swinging its enormous tentacles around, but in this case it was all wood. No matter what the outcome of this war might be, the Momoiro Island where the Kamabaka Queendom was placed will need to be completely rebuilt, so that people can live there again. Ivankov continued to dash around, but it was mainly to keep Green Bull occupied. The hormonal damage had already been dealt. After a couple of minutes passed, the dizziness got incredibly horrible, and his legs started to give out. He had to take drastic measures to get out of this situation. Overheating his own body by creating firecracker seeds, his whole body turned into a massive explosion. With the speed Ivankov was keeping up, they could barely evade the main part of the damage, but their skin still got burnt. Whimpering wouldn't help them right now, so instead a barrage of wings got fired at the location Greenball was recovering his body at. This wasn't meant to deal any damage, just to buy time. You buffoon, this is a completely new body. Your hormones have already worn off. Before he could even finish his sentence, he stumbled forward. The confusion on his face could be spotted even by the most oblivious child. This time, he was the one to underestimate a devil fruit power. Yeehaw! I see you noticed that my hormones didn't go away. Well, that means your fate is already sealed. Just like with the forest fruit's abilities, to keep your original root somewhere completely different, the Hormone fruit is capable of a few tricks as well. Technically, in this case, it wasn't even much of a trick, as all the nature in the area was just connected by roots with the main body of Green Bull. So as time passed, the hormone spread to all the plants, trees, and the other things connected with the Marine Admiral. That meant that no matter how often he would remade his body, the effects of the Eva Surprise would remain until this body ceased to exist. Naturally, this completely enraged the man with the already short fuse, and with a big body movement, even falling on the ground himself because of his impaired sense of balance, nature started to move. If nature was against you, that meant that the entire world was against. No matter how fast you might be, if you get attacked from every single direction possible, you can't run away. So it will be outcome number 2, huh? Hormone Overlord! Yeehaw! In response to the unavoidable attack, Ivankov pulled out their own last trump card, injecting themselves with all kinds of hormones, surpassing any human technology and using ancient extinct hormones as well as future undiscovered, not even invented hormones. Their entire body turned pitch black, just like when somebody would use and haki. Then they got hit by the attack. Below them, a sea of red had formed, but they themselves remained standing. Not only skin, but also hair, pupil, and everything else turned black, making Ivankov look like the darkest shadow imaginable. This technique was a last effort, as it would kill the user when it ended. But at least this way, they could make sure that the Green Bull would not make it to the final and last battle of the war. However, how this battle will actually end will only be shown next week. I hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to more. Personally, I really believe that these would be the outcomes of the battles if they occurred in canon. But what do you think? Please share your opinion in the comments. But for now, that's all from me for today. All that's left to be said is stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. Pyro out. Bye!